Alright, how's it going, everybody? This is going to be a pretty important video to talk about because it's already out the window. I left my own static that I've created. We've been around for a few months and there was a lot of problems in general. And I'd love to talk about why I left the static. And I also want to explain my mistakes that I actually made in the static that pissed people off too. Just remember that these mistakes that happened, they were a primary factor, sure, but you cannot deny that the static environment was one of the worst, and my inaction of bad behavior basically really struggled with keeping the team in line, and it was just a mess. It became a mess, it got worse, and I didn't feel much in control after that. So there's a lot I want to talk about here. Don't misinterpret me. Don't misunderstand me. I'm going to be talking about so many things right now because the viewers deserve to know as well, because we've been raiding on stream. We've been doing a lot of things. We've been making YouTube videos with the static. And as you know, we've been at it for a while now. So that's a few months. No, not that much of a while, but enough that it kind of sucked what I had to do by leaving because it really felt like the only option. And so I'm going to start by talking about the things that I disliked about my team and why I decided to basically leave. And then after I do that, I'm going to apologize with the things that I think I did wrong. Now, I'm not stupid. I'm not dumb. I can see my mistakes, okay? It's not like I'm blind to them. I see the mistakes. I do. It's just, let's say I put a marker on A, right, and a marker on B, just as a generalization, right? Marker A, marker B. You tell me don't walk on marker A, okay? Sometimes I'm going to make the mistake and walk on marker B. It doesn't mean I'm trying to avoid entering marker A. It's just it happened, I did it, and I fucked up. You know, I went to B instead of A. It's like I'm trying to say that these mistakes happen. I didn't mean to make that mistake. It just happened. It's not that I'm not listening. It's that just happened, and I thought it was the right decision at the time, and it wasn't, right? And that's in regards to the schedule and stuff, which we'll dive into later. But first, let's talk about static environment. I can safely say that the environment of my static was easily one of the worst. The worst thing that I didn't do was not trial these players, not trial them and see if they're a good fit for the team. This is my first time leading a group. This is my first time actually leading a static. I've never done it before. So I'm human. At the end of the day, I'm human. I made mistakes, and I tried to do the right thing, and it just wasn't the right thing in the end, and it sucks. All right, it sucks ass, man. It doesn't help. It sucks even more that I basically got yelled at constantly for making these mistakes, like constantly, and it doesn't really make me feel like I belong anymore. It didn't make me feel. It made me feel like I'm on the outside looking in, like I'm not part of the team. I'm there to basically make sure that everyone's happy, and that's really hard to do when you keep doing things that piss people off. Okay, it's hard. It is hard. But I learned from these mistakes. I needed static leading experience to better myself, to better my overview of the game. And honestly, I will say that I think I've learned a lot with this experience regarding everything with the players, trialing, behavior, all these things really come in a factor. You need to really be bold when static leading and recruiting. You need to be very bold. You have to make these decisions that actually will make the team better. And basically, I had an image. I had an image of my static where people aren't talking over each other. It's a calm, mannered static. People talk with each other in a civilized manner. No yelling, none of that. None of that negativity. And that's pretty much what happened, really, is that it became that. And it's my fault because I didn't trial them. I could have removed them early on, and it just got out of hand, man. It really did. So let's talk about the environment. And the environment in itself was basically every week just felt like a burden to me, like I had to play with them. There came a point where it was like that. Before I was okay with it, right? But then there came a point where it started feeling like a burden. I'd say maybe for the past 5 weeks or something. That's when I was like, I'm really having enough with this. People talk over each other. People don't let others speak. People yell. It's all streamed. It's all on Twitch. People are seeing this, and the chat sometimes even sees this, and they're just like shocked, like Alninio, what is this? What's going on here? Like seriously, it was out of control. And then the static members DM me. They say, "Oh, this person did this, that. This person did this, that. I didn't like it." And basically, I talk to these people, sort this shit out. And it's basically a barrage of just constant complaints within each other. It was never going to work out. The team had no chemistry at all. There was no chemistry in regards to everything. Stats, mechanics, talking. One person constantly kept talking over everybody, even when they're mid-conversation, mid-talking. And it just grinded my gears eventually. Like, I got really annoyed by it as well. I'm sure everyone else did. And that's one reason of why I left my static. And there's other reasons. Aggressive tones. The tone matters when you're in a static. The way you speak to your team matters. It does, more than you think. And their tone was aggressive. Their tone was angry. And it just seemed to me like it was a battle of who has the bigger cock, and whoever has the bigger cock tends to be the one that speaks louder and over the other person. This has happened constantly, right? That's definitely a major problem for me, right? Also another reason why I decided to leave the static. And finally, really, the negative attitude and the pessimistic behavior of the group. Especially with one individual who I will not name, but I know you're looking at this and I know you know who you are. He was extremely pessimistic. He would constantly say, why are we doing this strat? Why are we doing PF strats? And P4S, for example, you know, guys, Bloodrick, when the poison and the tethers, it's a very simple mechanic, and he made a big deal out of it. Because I decided, hey, we're going to do this strat. And he made a big deal out of it, like, why are we doing PF strats if we're a static? As if to say that PF strats are bad, which is actually not true, by the way. I agree that Elmo is bad, so it's kind of contradictory when he supported Elmo and wanted to do Elmo. But in this case, he says P4S, is a PF strat, and that the strat is PF and he's not supposed to do it, but he supported Elmo, which is a PF strat. And it's actually, by the way, Elmo's a really bad strat, and he's supporting it. So I don't really understand what's up with that, really. But he was really pessimistic. I designed the static in mind where none of these things would happen, and those things happened exactly. You have to understand my position as someone that created the static initially. I wanted to trial. I should have trialed. That was my biggest mistake, is I should have trialed. I should have seen these players if they're a good fit for the team, and if they're in the static mindset that I wanted. I wanted a mindset where everyone is chill back, positive. Even if things got heated, they can control themselves. Because it was all the opposite of that. Talking over each other constantly is just not fun, man. You can't even hear the other guy talk, and the other guy's talking over the other guy. It's like, at what point do we come where, like, we can sit down and actually listen to each other? It just didn't seem like we're valuing each other's opinions very much, because it was all about who has the bigger dick, really. And that's how it felt to me. That's my POV on it. So the static members, if they're watching this, they would maybe have different opinions on this, but this is my viewpoint on it, and I know what I experienced. I'm not gonna bullshit. Like, I know what I went through. I know what I experienced. It's not like I'm lying. This is literally what I went through. So it was just a negative attitude, and there was just too much pessimistic behavior, and I pretty much got tired of it. We were in many examples where in P3S we would argue about this Elmo thing, and now I'm going to talk about my mistakes. Perfect time now to talk about my mistakes, and actually my apology as well, because there are things that I've done that made things worse in general, but that's not to say that things weren't even good in the first place. They were bad before even all my decision factors came in. The environment right at the beginning was already bad, and there were already so many red flags. And my biggest mistake is the inaction of bad behavior, not dealing correctly with the bad behavior, not trialing them, not seeing if they're a good fit for the team, and all that. That was easily one of my biggest mistakes, because I was basically stuck with them at a point. I didn't feel in control of who comes in and who comes out, and I should have. As a static leader, it's my job at that point to manage the group accordingly to how I want it to be, which is a more positive, chill-back team. I mean, I'm not crazy. Like, if you want to make a static where people yell at each other, feel free, right? Do that. But I didn't want that. I didn't want to do that. And I should have 100% spoken, like, and seen how they perform in game, but also how they treat others, the players that they're playing with. That's a really important factor, because that was the absolute worst experience I've had, like, raiding, like, in a video game. Like, even my Guild Wars 2 static, they argued and stuff, but it wasn't that bad. Like, this felt way more personal. Like, people would just raise their voices over a static decision, or they would discredit what I say over a strat, and just, like, for example, P3S, my strat wasn't a bad strat. It wasn't, but he said it's a bad strat instead of Elmo. In the end of the day, the strat wasn't bad. It just wasn't. It's just not true. So it was just an assumption that he made that it's bad. And that's one thing as well. That was a major thing. What mistake did I do there is I should have talked about these strats before raid hour, raid day. So I did that. I did actually end up doing that. I started making strats before raid days so this doesn't happen again. And I basically brushed it off, and I talked to CU, and I talked to him basically about the whole thing, about the whole P3S thing, and like, we're good, you know, we're good, we're done with it. But it's not to say that it wasn't a problem. It definitely was, and it was a contributing factor into also me leaving into me leaving the static. It definitely had a factor. It's just something that kept building up, but the main factor was really the one person that was constantly pessimistic and negative. I would say that one was the peak reason for me leaving. So I am a first-time static leader. I made mistakes. There's no doubt. I made mistakes with scheduling. I'm going to talk about the scheduling mistake I did. So basically, in our static, we had Saturday, Sunday, and Tuesday. Tuesday would be re-clear. Now, one of the members had a really bad schedule through the weekday, so re-clearing was very uncertain. He would give me percentage chances of him arriving. Now, when I designed the static in mind, I didn't want this. I didn't want people to have RNG schedules. I wanted, so you come on this hour, you raid on this hour. But now the problem is, when we're trying to do re-clears, his whole week is from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And I can't work with random timings. I wasn't sure if I need to sub him sometimes. He gave me like 80% chance on Tuesday of arrival, 50% chance on Wednesday. I can't work with that. I didn't design this static so I can percentage gamble on if you're going to arrive or not. I didn't want this, right? I should have initially been clear about this, and that was my biggest mistake, I would say. And I'm sorry to my team as well for that, because they had to basically go through a lot of these stuff because of my mistake with removing the weekend day where he basically could guarantee his arrival on Sunday. And so I fucked that. So why did I remove Sunday? One of the other members told me that on Sunday they can no longer arrive because of certain issues, a major issue actually. And I felt bad about it because what he told me, like, it made me upset because he's my friend. And so I wanted to do this for him, right? That's where I made the fucking biggest mistake, is that I let it so that I wanted to help him so he can raid with us, but it also affected the 6 other players with their schedule timing. And I won't lie, looking back at it, I know it was stupid. I know it was dumb. I shouldn't have done that, without a doubt, because they wanted Sunday, right? They signed up the static as a weekend static. I didn't want to do weekend static anymore, honestly. I made the mistake of not knowing when reset was. When I first made the static, I didn't know what day reset was. And I wanted to raid on reset. I didn't want to raid in the weekends because it's so far away from reset, then you can just get loot on Tuesday. And I wanted that. I didn't know that. I did not know that. I swear to God, on God, if I knew that, I would have made the static weekdays. I didn't. I've been playing this game not even for a year under my belt, and I'm trying to basically figure this out. This is my first raid tier on launch. So I tried to figure this out. Like how we're gonna do this. So then we made Tuesday a re-clear day, and it just ended up happening. So I am really, really sorry about arguing against the weekday thing. It's actually a very personal reason why I didn't want it to be a random day. Basically what happened was they wanted it to be a random one day throughout the weekday where someone was free. And I wanted a fixed day. I wanted just one day where we can re-clear, all of us. And I wanted that to be Tuesday. Okay? I didn't want this randomness. I really didn't. I wanted Tuesday. The reason being, it's really personal. I can't get into it, okay? But even though I endured it, I was like, okay, fuck, whatever. I'll make it Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll re-clear on either of those days. So it's like a toggle option, right? It's either Tuesday or Wednesday, always. So I extended it for the team. I did something that can help the team so that they can re-clear their savage raids on the weekday, Tuesday or Wednesday, okay? And that's what I wanted now. So I pushed through with it, right? I did. I wanted those days to be the raid days, man. I really did. And I'm sorry for arguing about it, okay? Because I know it was an argument that eventually led to me saying, let's do Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay, so we did that. We made it Tuesday, Wednesday. The issue is, later on, I started making these fast decisions for the team regarding the schedule. And with that whole Sunday thing, basically, it was pretty serious what he told me about why he can't come on Sunday. I want to do whatever I could, and I really thought that, I swear, I thought the reason he told me that was because he wanted me to remove Sunday. I thought that in my head. Of course it was fucking wrong. I know it was wrong. I thought that though, okay? I thought that he wanted me to change Sunday because of that. I didn't know that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a sheet. People can put their votes. They can say they can come on this day, this day, this day, what days they're free. Okay, I made a BIS loot sheet. I made a sheet, not BIS sheet. What am I saying? A sheet that basically says, hey, you can raid on this day, you can raid on this day, you can raid on this day. And the person that, the most pessimistic person, I'm not gonna say his name, I'll just call him pessimistic person. He had basically all the weekdays from 6 to 9. The entire time, it's just RNG. So the weekdays were really hard. So he could only do weekends. And even then, the Saturday that he had, the Saturday was 6 to 8. So there's a 2-hour RNG gap. See, I didn't know about this. I didn't know his schedule was like that. And I basically had to play around him. And he never told me this when he first joined the Static. He just said, my schedule is kind of iffy. And I let it pass. So what was my mistake there? I should have asked him. I should have asked him, how is your schedule? What is this? What is that? What is this? As a Static leader, I'm supposed to do that. I'm supposed to ask him, what days are you free? What days? All that. So that was a major mistake, honestly. 100%. Because I didn't want that. I didn't want to have a team member that has that kind of schedule. I'm sorry, like, I didn't want it. And I was basically stuck with him. So that was one issue. But yeah, his bad behavior eventually got to me. And I eventually decided it's time to leave my own Static. Just let them do their thing. They can make their own group, play together. It doesn't matter to me. Just leave me out of it, because I don't want to experience playing with that person again. And that's honestly the honest truth. That is the honest truth. I'd rather be honest instead of bullshit. So really, that's about it, honestly. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry, man. I tried to do the right decisions, and they weren't. And sadly, I actually lost a friend because of this. He was the Static member, and he basically really didn't like what I did with the Sunday thing. And I can't take it back. You know, it already happened. If I could go back in time, I would have done things differently. But what wouldn't have changed, no matter what wouldn't have changed is the team environment, the way people talk, and the aggressive tone that was used. Those were the primary factors that I left the Static. It wasn't because of that whole schedule argument shit. It's been build-up of months and months. Build-up. I had so much rage inside me because of this one person. Like, honestly, I really should have asked him his schedule RNG thing. I didn't want to work with it. And so I failed as a Static leader when it comes to this. I did. It is my first time Static leading. I gained a lot of experience with it. I'll just look at it and, go forward with it, make better decisions later on if I ever decide to lead a Static. But right now I'm at a different Static, and let me tell you right now, the Static that I just joined and I played with them for the first time, their environment is 1,000 times better than my than my old Static. Way better. Everyone listens to each other. Everyone's on the same level. It just feels like in my old Static, everyone had not everyone, sorry, some of the people, they had a bit of an ego, and they would talk over each other constantly, and it was basically I have a bigger dick than you kind of thing, and it happened throughout the entire thing. And honestly, it was mind-boggling. So there it is. Everyone's been asking me, what happened to your old Static? Why did you leave your old Static? It's been happening in my Twitch chat. People are asking me. I figured I'd make a video on it, and it's the honest truth of my POV. The Static members, maybe they will disagree with what I'm saying right now, but this is how I felt about the whole situation and how I looked at it. And the negativity was the core essence of me leaving. My mismanagement. I'm sorry for mismanaging. I'm sorry about that. I really shouldn't have removed Sunday. I really do regret that, because it eventually led to a lot of bad things, and it just didn't seem fixable. And because I made that decision, things got worse. What really sucks is that they viewed me as this guy trying to take control, and like I'm the one deciding everything, which is true, because I did decide these things, like remove Sunday. I decided that. I didn't ask them like, hey, how do you guys feel on Sunday? How do you guys feel? Do you want me to remove it? Do you want this? Do you want that? I should have asked. 100%. There is no doubt that I should have done that. But I just cared so much about what my friend told me that I wanted to do this for him, man. I wanted to do this shit for him. It wasn't a smart idea because it affected the other teammates. Okay? I know it was fucking stupid. I know. And I can't take it back now. And the shitty thing is, like, It became so much more personal now. Like, he's not even my friend anymore. He blocked me, dude. He blocked me everywhere. I don't know, like, what even is going to happen now, honestly, but I know for a fact that I like my current static. The new one I just joined, I really like them, and I'm going to stick with them because the environment is just overall better. And it didn't feel at the time when I played, my first impressions of them are really positive. They weren't being assholes to me. My opinions mattered. I was heard. They were heard. I heard them. It was great. It was just such a wonderful experience meeting those people. And if I had the option to choose between my old static and this one, I would 100% choose the one that I'm in right now. I would definitely, because the environment in the old static was so bad that I could not just keep playing, man. I couldn't. Eventually, I snapped, and I had to leave. I couldn't kick people at this point. We're months in. I can't just kick people. And even though I really wanted to kick that one person, it eventually, if I kicked him, I would be the villain. I would be the bad guy. Because I'm the one that kicked him over what they think I kicked him for. But really, the reason I kick him would be because of his negative attitude and pessimistic behavior. But how are they going to view it? If I kicked him, they're going to see it as, you kicked him because you don't like his schedule. Because you don't want him, you don't want the whole weekend thing. They're going to see it differently. When you make a decision, it's going to be interpreted 1,000 ways. And the last thing I needed at that point was more teammates leaving. And honestly, I think back at it, my mistake really was not removing him earlier, especially in E12S when he basically, like said, he knew nothing about the mechanics, which, by the way, just is a major red flag for someone who's supposed to know the mechanics at that point, man. You're supposed to know. How does the other members know but not you? You had a whole week. That was a major red flag. I should have acted upon it. I should have trialed him. I should have been more firm. I should have been more bold. These are without a doubt major mistakes that I made. I could have taken far more control of the situation, and we wouldn't be in the situation we are now. I would have known his schedule. I would have known that we could do weekdays. I would have known so many things because the other members can actually do weekdays, but he can't do it. He can't do it consistently. I wish I thought about this beforehand. It was too late. So as a static member, you really need to think about this stuff, man. From its foundation, you need to think about this. A static leader has to manage this shit. In my opinion, there's two types of leaders in a static. There's the static leader. He's the one that manages everything. Timings. He manages the timings before the static's actually made. He's the one that asks the people, makes polls, votes, which by the way, I did that. Like, I started doing polls and spreadsheets and looking at what people, their preferred days are. The only problem is I removed Sunday completely, and that was just a big issue that started so many things. And, here we are now. It sucks what happened. I should have done things better, and eventually it came to this. So I'm just going to try to learn from this. The worst part about this is it really became more personal. I started getting yelled at very often by my team, both in text chat and voice chat. The environment was just not only shitty, but I just felt constantly pressured, man. Like, I really tried to make the right decision, and it never was the right decision. I really tried, and I'm really sorry about what I did. And we can't take it back, and it's just that's it. It's the end of the line for the Creed static. It's the end of the line. So we're going to be uploading content with the new static now, and put all that drama behind us. Thank you for watching.